Hey guys, TinaGale here, and I'm back with another layout I did during International Scrapbook Day. You can see here, this is the product that I started with. It is leftover product from a scrap room kit. This is Pink Paisley's Sweet Freedom collection, so it's a 4th of July collection, but I'm going to make a Father's Day layout with it. So don't get boxed in by what the collection is designed for. Think outside the box. Also, don't be afraid to use up the ends of your collection. If you look at that very beginning photo, I didn't have one single piece of a full 12 by 12 piece of paper. The paper you see is pretty much the sizes that it was. Geometric pattern that's over to the right, the biggest piece I had some shapes punched out of the corner, so I just trimmed up all of the edges so that I would have straight, clear cuts on my papers. And what I did was I took a piece of paper that I didn't necessarily care for, used it for my 12 by 12, and then pieced together these papers on top of it to create the full 12 by 12 background. I'm also using a sketch that the scrap room had. It was a challenge they had during International Scrapbook Day. So the challenge is over, but you can go get the sketch and play along with it because it's a really great sketch. So that is where the design's coming from. And I think it had two big photos or something. I'm using 3 smaller. They're about wallet-sized photos. I had a 4th wallet I thought about using, but I ended up going overboard with the embellishments. It didn't really have room for it. So I'm matting the 3 photos together to make one long strip of photos off to the right. The design of the sketch was kind of a strip to the left and then a bigger block to the right. So I did do that. But then since I had these branding strips and I had these pieces that I had cut off, like the blue chevron paper over here on the left, I'd cut a little bit off. So I had a piece to take over to the right-hand side of the page just to kind of pull those colors across, repeat the colors and the designs. So I also had this red branding strip that I put over here on the left. So I wanted a little bit of red to the right. I didn't have any more of that, but I did have this paper that was just a small little strip. So I cut it in half so that I would have a small strip of it over here on the right. I could repeat that red. I had some of this ribbon that's a blue chevron that matched in perfectly with the designs of this paper. Had it in my stash forever. I don't think I've used it at all. Might have used it once. So I decided to use that as a strip, kind of like my papers, to add a little bit of texture. So I cut a piece to put over onto the left, and then when I was going through my little bin of embellishments for my red, I found this little, it's like a pop can tab. I don't think it came really from a pop can. I think it was something that was purchased, but it looks like the tab off a pop can, so you could use one, spray paint it, whatever. But it was red, so I decided to thread it through that ribbon to give that little pop up there. I thought that turned out so cute, and I'm so excited to use that because I know that's been in my stash for probably 10 years. And then I had just a little bit of this light blue paper, and I loved it, and everything was so dark. The clothes that my husband and my daughter are wearing are the dark blue and the red. All the paper's really dark. So I wanted just a touch of light. So I cut it. Well, actually, I didn't cut it. That's just the size of the scrap that it was, and just tucked it in with these border strips on the left-hand side. That's the piece that was cut off from what I matted the photos with, so that's that light blue paper. So that's repeating that light blue back over onto the left-hand side of the paper. So that's kind of the basic design that I started with that I'm working with. And now I'm on to the fun stuff and the embellishing. And again, this is all odds and end pieces that were either in my little embellishment bins or leftovers from where I created before with this collection. So those red circles that you see at the top and the bottom of the photos, that's what was punched out of that blue paper, and I didn't use them all, so I had stuck it in with the scraps. So I'm going to use those as my cluster bases on this layout. So I put a little one at the top and a big one at the bottom, and I still need one off to the left, but I didn't have any more circles like that, but I do find one on a sticker sheet. So I'm going to get that red circle off onto the left where that cluster is going to be. And then I had this little domino sticker. So a lot of these little embellishments you see off to the left and that I'm using are from Coco Vanilla's Boy line, which again is just a bunch of little odds and ends that I have left after creating with the collection. In fact, I don't think I have any paper. I just have some embellishments. And I really didn't know where I was going to use a domino. But this was on Father's Day, and our church always sets up and does something really big for Mother's Day and Father's Days. So for Father's Day, they had games kind of set around, and root beer and pretzels and all this kind of stuff, and things outside as well. So before church, my daughter and my husband were sitting there playing Connect 4, and he's eating his pretzels. So I thought, well, that's kind of fitting for the games that they were set up. I don't know that they had dominoes, but it has that behind that story. So I stuck a domino up there. I was so proud to use that. And so that's bringing black in. And I had a black mustache. I'm not one that gets into these mustaches, but I have them and thought, well, it's Father's Day. And they also had these little tattoos that you could get, and some of them were mustaches. So I thought, well, that's fitting. It reminds me of that day and some of the things that they had offered. So I stuck it down at the bottom. And then I had a little washi strip that was black and white, so I tucked it off to the left. Then the next thing I come across was that speedometer type thing that's gray in this big cluster over here. It says 0 to hero. So that was bringing gray in, so I brought it over here. I found a gray big star that was from the Coco Vanilla collection up at the top. And then that light blue paper, I had a little circle punched from it, so I put it down at the bottom. And then there's a gray vellum star from the Coco Vanilla down there. So then, that's how I kind of pulled the gray all the way around. I also had this gray kind of 3D star that's from this Sweet Freedom collection, and I love it. And I wanted to get it on this page, and you're going to see me pull it off and put it on and move it all around, but it does make it on the page. I had these silver metallic thickers that's from Chamel Sparkle City, so that's brand new in the new kits, and it had Go Big, so I thought that was kind of fun. So if you kind of look at the photos, they're sitting there and they're real intent playing, but my husband's sitting there eating his pretzels the whole time. It's just like, no sweat, he's got this. Since the bag of pretzels was like a brown bag and they had printed Happy Father's Day and all that, I had this little brown bag with a tag in it in my stash, so I thought that was perfect. It kind of repeated that feel and from the photo. So I'm putting it over here. My journaling's going to go on the red tag, but I printed on the brown bag. It says, "I can beat you with one hand in my popcorn bag." I'm not sure he said that day, but that is something that he would say. So I just typed that up on top of that brown bag. I thought that was awesome. It did kind of smear, but I thought, well, it's a guy layout. I'll just kind of distress it up a little bit. So I finally was really happy with what I had going with the embellishments now, and I'm just finishing off the little bits that I have left. So some of the enamel dots, I had buttons, these navy buttons. I did go ahead and put twine through them and tie a little knot, and I have the twine in the bag, so that's kind of repeating. Had lots of these little vellum stars left from that Coco Vanilla collection, and they're really hard to use because they don't show up, and I have a hard time when they don't show up. But I tucked them in all over this layout because I thought, it's going to give little bits of color all the way around without being too much, because this is another layout where I just kind of went overboard with the embellishments and the clusters, and I like my embellishments. So by the time that I kind of get to here, I had remembered I wanted to get that hashtag in for the Go Big. And so I'm going to end up moving those words over a little bit more. Actually, I think it's just the Go, maybe. I have to move it over onto the ribbon, which was okay because I didn't really like the way it was sitting, and I didn't like the way the star was sitting there. So when I did this, it kind of helped me get this big star at the bottom where I like it better. But that's pretty much it. I just sat and I played and kind of tweaked and moved things around as I added more stuff. You can see here, I ended up just using glue dots on my vellum. You can see them a little bit, but you're going to see it no matter what. I thought about using my little tiny attacher, but I had some I wouldn't be able to reach, and so I'm good with the glue dot. So I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to check the sketch out. You can still play no matter what. Here is some close-ups. Hope you're having a wonderful National Scrapbook Month if you celebrate all month long like I do, and you enjoy some of the layouts that I was able to get done on my time off. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, I would love to have you subscribed, and a thumbs up is always, always appreciated. I love reading your comments. I always try to reply. So thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel and just keeping me encouraged to keep scrapbooking, and I hope I encourage you to keep scrapbooking as well. So have a great day, and I will see you soon.